India and Pakistan. Since their independence in 1947, both countries have shared a long history. That is, a history of partition, tensions, conflicts, and wars, marked by the occasional on and off efforts to make peace. While this has been the case for almost 7 decades, in the last decade, something different has happened, a paradigm shift in the rules of engagement. And those rules haven't changed even today. So, it all started when a new leader took over the reins of the world's largest democracy. After being elected as the Prime Minister of India for the first time in 2014, Narendra Modi extended the greatest gesture of friendship by inviting the Pakistani Prime Minister, Nawaz Sharif, to New Delhi for his swearing-in ceremony. It was the first ever visit by a Pakistan Prime Minister to India to attend the oath-taking ceremony of an Indian Prime Minister-designate. For the first few years of his government, Modi tried everything in his power to establish good relations with Pakistan. On 25th December 2015, he extended a similar gesture by becoming the first Indian PM to visit Pakistan in more than 10 years. He flew down to Lahore in a surprise visit on his return to New Delhi from Kabul. It wasn't an official state visit, but a historic one. Modi had actually called Sharif to wish him on his birthday, but it ended in the latter inviting Modi to his granddaughter's wedding. Even though the NSA Ajit Doval and the SPG officials had concerns over security arrangements, PM Modi went ahead with the impromptu visit. It was an unplanned diplomatic masterstroke on Modi's part. He even went so far as to put his security in the hands of the Pakistan Army and the ISI, whose pilots flew the chopper that took him from Lahore Airport to Nawaz Sharif's home in Raiwind in Lahore. He proved through his actions that India was willing to reach out to Pakistan. It did seem like a fresh beginning. Modi's policy was even lauded, but just a week later, all his bids to make peace turned into dust.
Prime Minister Modi visited the Pathankot Air Force Base today, exactly a week after the airbase was attacked by 6 terrorists.
On 2nd January 2016, the Indian Air Force's Pathankot Air Base was attacked by a heavily armed group of militants. The gun battle, which lasted for more than 80 hours, left 7 Indian security personnel dead. But India still held on to the tiniest glimmer of hope. It even allowed a joint investigation team, including an ISI officer, into India.
The joint investigation team from Pakistan arrived in the national capital on Sunday to probe the deadly terrorist attack on the Pathankot Air Force Base.
This was the first time that Pakistani intelligence and police had come to India to investigate a terror attack. India resumed the Foreign Secretary-level engagement, but the result the same. Sadly, the worst was yet to come. On 18th September 2016, 9 Indian soldiers were wrapped in the tricolor as casualties in what was reported as the deadliest attack on security forces in Kashmir in 2 decades. Bolstered by PM Modi's resolve and Ajit Doval's doctrine of defense offense, on 28th September 2016, Indian commandos were airdropped at the LOC. It was carried out against the terror launch pads at pinpointed locations in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. The timing was perfect. India could not have done the same thing a few days back, when the 71st session of the United Nations General Assembly was in session on 26 September 2016. Modi not only stood behind the forces, but he made it official, and even owned the strikes, thereby resisting the routine international pressure which would otherwise act as a deterrent from responding in this fashion.
हिंदुस्तान को पता चले उससे पहले, मीडिया वहां पहुंचे उससे पहले, पाकिस्तान की फौज को फोन करके बता दो.
The surgical strike was a watershed moment, not just because of its success, but also because for the first time, India publicly owned up to its operation. It was a significant development in South Asia. The surgical strikes also highlighted India's new rules of engagement with Pakistan. In the future, India will not succumb to international pressure from the West, and it will take it upon itself to protect its sovereignty.
Somebody was threatening India. I said, let me help. I'm very good with those people. Let me help. I will do it. I will do it. Then I will do anything necessary. We've defeated them for hundreds of years.
Wow.
He was talking about a certain country. Okay,
Yeah.
you can probably guess the country.
This was again proved in 2019 on 40 CRPF personnel when India retaliated with the Balakot airstrikes. India deployed both its diplomatic and military machinery to give a fitting response. While the military response needed preparation, India wasted no time diplomatically.
कि आतंकवाद मानवाधिकारों का सबसे बड़ा उल्लंघन है.
On 26 September 2016, days before the surgical strike, the then External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj roared in the United Nations General Assembly by calling out terrorism as the biggest threat against mankind. Subsequently, India pulled out of the 19th SARC summit, which was scheduled to be hosted in Pakistan on 15th November to 16th November.
India will not take part in SARC summit in Islamabad in view of the continuous cross-border terrorism by Pakistan.
This modus operandi was in accordance with the doctrine of defensive offense, which Doval had once outlined in a speech.
When we come into the defensive offense, then we start working on the vulnerabilities of Pakistan. It can be economic, it can be internal security, it can be political, it can be their isolation internationally, it can be their this thing like that, of exposing their terrorist activities, or it can be anything.
But India's response was also hailed by other member countries of the SARC, including Bangladesh, Afghanistan, Bhutan, Maldives, and Sri Lanka, who boycotted the summit soon after. It was a first. Never before had a country hosting a multilateral event faced a combined boycott by other countries. Since then, no SARC summit has taken place. Throughout the years, India realized a few things that propelled the Modi administration to take a clear position on Pakistan. For a while, India tried the soft power approach. Between the two countries, there was an immense exchange of culture, films, and entertainment, cricket, and food, since Pakistan itself was once a part of India. Words like Ghazal diplomacy and Biryani diplomacy were employed. There were Aman Kiyasha campaigns jointly started by two leading media houses, the Jang Group of Pakistan and the Times of India, aimed at promoting mutual relations. But after witnessing numerous peace attempts producing the same results in the past, the Modi government realized something. You can't send mixed signals to the international audience. The international audience does not have time to sit through hours of history lessons, especially one that is as complex as India and Pakistan. To them, it seemed like a family squabble or a dispute.
You know, victims of terrorism do not sit together with perpetrators of terrorism to discuss terrorism.
The Modi government made the world recognize terrorism as the biggest threat to the world. The circumstances in today's Pakistan are more dire than ever. As the people of Pakistan struggle through an economic crisis, the terror outfits have raised their heads. According to Islamabad-based think tank CRSS, a total of 789 terror incidents were recorded in Pakistan in 2023, causing 1,524 violence-related casualties and 1,463 injuries. In just the first quarter of 2024, Pakistan witnessed as many as 245 incidents of terror attacks and counter-terror operations, resulting in 432 fatalities and 370 injuries. And the August attacks took the total tally to 325. The recent visit of India's External Affairs Minister, Dr. Subramaniam Jaishankar, to Pakistan turned heads as he became the first EAN to visit the country in 10 years. Even though it was historic, it might still be too premature to draw conclusions from a single visit. That will have to wait for a while.